men cheating on pregnant women, that should be some sort of, it should be a crime. Like, I think you should face like some sort of penalty. I do. I think if you cheat on your pregnant, like, and not me being very serious, I think if you cheat on your pregnant wife, you should receive some sort of penalty. I don't think you should be able to, like, I think there should be a consequence, not just a social consequence, but like something that affects you in your everyday life. Welcome to Those Are the Girls with Mallory and Friends, the podcast where we explore life, career, relationships, and pop culture through a Christian conservative perspective. Each episode, we dive into deep topics that matter most to us women, from navigating your career with grace and confidence to watering meaningful relationships grounded in faith. We're here to empower you to embrace your femininity and stand firm in your beliefs. We'll also tackle the latest in pop culture, discussing how they align or clash with our values. Let's uncover the truth and encourage each other to live boldly and authentically. So whether you're at home or on your commute, get ready for some fabulous conversations. Grab your teacup, pour yourself some tea. Come on, girlies, we're changing culture. The views expressed on this podcast are our own and do not reflect our employers. Enjoy! Hi, this is Mal, your gal pal. Pour yourself some tea because we are serving truth, living that boldly set apart other girl life, okay? Welcome back to Those Are the Girls. This is the podcast where we talk about faith, femininity, and conservative values and how they collide with everything trending. I'm super excited that you're here today. We're going to be covering so many things, some viral drama, some things going on with Wizard Liz, political headlines, and then some stories that you could have missed. I have a new lifestyle segment and it's called Just Living My Life, and it's kind of for us girlies who are work 9 to 5s, live in a city, and how we can be joyful in this world. So whether you're listening in your car, doing your skincare, or sneaking a quick break at your desk, this is a safe space to laugh and live boldly, okay? Let us get into it. All right, that's the new intro. Let me know if you like it. So yeah, let me pull up some of the things we're going to talk about. I have a lot to go over today, like I mentioned already, so let's get into it. First, let's do some announcements. We are going to be doing an Other Girls Share the Love Party, which is essentially creating love boxes for women at that are going to be going to a community baby shower in Charlotte. We're going to be doing this in August, and between now and then, we are raising money because to get the love boxes, it does cost money, and like I've mentioned before, this is all funded by moi. So I need your help. So if you live in the Charlotte area, I would love for you to come and help build these love boxes. If you don't live in the Charlotte area, but you want to help these women, these are women who are in our community that just need a little extra help, that have experienced unplanned pregnancy, or, it was a plan, or, the planned pregnancy things in their life has changed and they just need a little help. This is a great way to help our community, because one thing about Other Girls is we don't just talk about how we want to change culture. We don't just talk about what we want to do. We actually do it. So coming to the Share the Love Party as well as donating will be great ways to do that. All that information is on the website. Okay. Also, it'll be 5 years in August, and last year was a crazy year. Not the best year in TOG history. That's a fact. But this year is already off to a great start. I'm like really, really excited about how everything's going so far, and with the rebrand, and I got another mic. Hopefully this will sound a lot better. The new mic I got at the beginning of the year just doesn't sound as good, but hopefully this will sound better. And just let me know if you're listening. Reach out to me. Seriously, I can use your feedback. And once again, it's called Those Are the Girls because it's girls. It's all of us. I'm going to be talking about these topics that you're interested in and I'm interested in. And I want you to feel as if we're in this together. Okay. We're in this together in this world. We are set apart. We are other girls. We are different. And so yeah. So we're having a 5-year anniversary in Charlotte. That's also linked on the website. And then you should join the email list. I'm going to be doing a newsletter. So it's just going to be updates on podcast stuff. And then I'm going to be, ideally, I want to okay, I'm enjoying this product. Oh, this is a cool article I saw. I really enjoyed this podcast. My goal is to do kind of things like that, some of my favorite things from the month and things that I think you guys would be interested in that I see. And then I asked everyone, and for the month of June, as a Other Girls book club, I'm just going to see how this goes. We're going to be reading Fourth Wing. I will link some information about that, where to get it, and then what I'll do is we'll read Fourth Wing for the month of June, and then I'll do an oops spoilers about it, and then maybe on the Patreon we can do like a discussion or something like that. Let me know how we can do that, but definitely we'll be doing an oops spoilers about it. And we're reading Fourth Wing. It is a very popular book. I have not read it, but surprisingly a lot of you suggested that. So yeah, that's what we'll be doing. We'll be reading Fourth Wing. I looked into it. It does have some spice, but I'll really post where there is a Instagram page that will like read popular books and tell you where the spice is so you can skip it. So I'll post that too as well. So anyway, we're gonna be reading Fourth Wing. And then so I think that's it with the announcements. Let me just triple check. Oh, like I said, I'm gonna be doing like a segment called Just Living My Life. I say that sometimes. People are like, how's it going? I said it a lot more in not elementary school, maybe even in elementary school. In high school, people be like, oh, how's it? Just living my life. And I've been thinking about that lately, you know, especially when it comes to this rebrand and like what I want to focus on and like what I want my life to be like. I really do, you know, myself and many others are living lives that we didn't necessarily plan. They're not the worst lives on earth, you know, much worse, but like, you know, I'm 30. Obviously, myself and many others have wanted different things for our lives. So how do we do that joyfully instead of like sitting at home scrolling, watching other people have a life that they love with their kids and, you know, their X, Y, and Z? How do you still live life and like enjoy it? How do you like just living your life? How do you do that? And I want to kind of do this for myself. Like I'm holding myself accountable, as well as kind of just like show for anyone else who's in that season and just kind of like, I don't know, like going through that. So I'm going to be like just doing different things. So this upcoming weekend, hopefully I'll be able to get in a TCAP before then, but I'll actually be in the Greensboro area because I am going to be at the NC GOP convention, and I'll do next week, I think is when I'll talk about it. Let's just talk about like, explaining what it is and like all that stuff goes. So yeah, so I'm going to be doing that. And then the weekend after that, I'm going with friends on the boat. And the weekend after that, I'm going to California. And then the weekend after that, I'm going to a wedding. Like just kind of just like different things. Like the idea is just like, you're just living your life. It doesn't have to be this sad, dramatic, because your life didn't turn out, even, you know, no matter what Charlie Kirk and all of them says, like you can still have a nice, fulfilling, joyful life if things did not work out the way you wanted them to. And I just kind of want to show that. And once again, I'm talking to myself too, because like I'm a human. Like sometimes I do get kind of sad, you know, when I see especially friends younger than me, like truly out there living like the life I dreamed I'd have. Like it does get sad, but you know, look at the things that you do. I am so blessed. Your girl stays busy. If you follow me on Instagram, your gal pal. If you follow me on Instagram, your girl stays busy. So I am very blessed to have that, to be able to do that. So I want to, for myself, just remind myself of that. And I think for me, at least, like journaling, tracking, all that is fabulous. So that's what I'm going to be doing this summer. Just living my life. I'll pay attention to that. I'll do blog posts, things like that about it. Okay. So before we get into it, this episode of Those Are the Girls is brought to you by the Patreon. If you have not already, please consider joining the Patreon. If you like this podcast and or if you think that what I'm doing here is good, because I'm going to keep expand like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be doing more things in the community, as well as more episodes and getting more guests and like, you know, better equipment and X, Y, and Z. If you want to help with that, join the Patreon. It is patreon.com/Those Are the Girls. It will be very helpful. When we have like big guests, you'll get special questions from them, or questions answered from them. I'm going to be doing like other episodes. I'm going to try to do at least a new episode once a month. Special gifts, special announcements, events. You'll be the first to know. And if an event costs, you'll be able to get it discounted or even free. So yeah, so you should join the Patreon. I greatly appreciate it. And I'm sure everybody that listens greatly appreciates it as well. All right, let's get into it. First thing, I want to talk about is Trump pardoning Todd and Julie Chrisley. This is from Fox News. Chrisley knows best reality TV stars, Todd and Julie. Oh, I forgot to do the clink, you guys. Let's get into it. Clink. So back to what I was saying. Reality stars Todd and Julie Chrisley were freed from prison after they received a pardon from President Donald Trump on Wednesday. Todd and Julie were sentenced to 12 and 7 years respectively for bank fraud and tax evasion in 2022. The couple was convicted of conspiring to defraud community banks out of more than $30 million in fraudulent loans, as well as tax evasion. Their sentences were later reduced. So if you guys did not know, Todd and Chrisley knows best. So girliest girl, like love all pop culture, could not care less about reality TV. I don't know why. I just really don't like it. I'm not, this is gonna sound like I just don't really care about people's lives. But I will admit, I did like Chrisley Knows Best. That's like one of the only ones. And old Kardashian, sometimes I liked Kylie's show because it showed a lot about her business. And I was very interested in like, how is this girl making all this money? What's going on? So they show a lot about her business. So I did enjoy that, but like for the most part, I do not care about reality TV. But I did enjoy Don and Chrisley Knows Best. And I'm happy for them. I do think it's kind of funny because it was very obvious that Savannah was doing all that stuff so that her parents can become free. And you know what? I don't blame her. Like, especially if it's your parents. Like, you're going to do what you can to get them out. I know I would. So they're out. It's part of Trump's pardoning. I was listening to another podcast and I'm like, I wonder how Julie's hair looks. And she grew her hair out. Obviously, I mean, she can't do the bleach blonde. And she looks beautiful. I think that she definitely, I'm not going to sit here and be like, wow, she looks just like her old self. Obviously not. The gray and brown does age you, but like she looks great. I mean, she's a grandmother. Like it's okay for her to look her age. And I'd say she looks younger than her age. Well, actually, I don't know how old she is, but she looks great. I think she looks fine. Looks different than I expected. But, she was in jail. And as someone pointed out, I think that's bleaching your hair is the least of your worries when you're in jail. I don't know. Never been. Hopefully I will never have to go. So yeah. So just an update on that. I don't really have too much to say on that. I mean, it does feel kind of strange in the sense of like, obviously, like her sucking up, them having money, that had a lot to do with it. But like, I don't have too much to say on that. Okay. The next thing. So this I kind of want to talk a little bit about. Influencer Emily Kaiser files lawsuit to keep records about 3-year-old son Trig's death private. This is from people.com. Emily Kaiser's son Trig, 3, died May 18th, 6 days after he was found unconscious when he was pulled out of a backyard pool. So I don't really want to talk too much about that other than I cannot imagine how awful she feels, how awful that is. I will say for 2 seconds, I did watch a video, and if you remind me, I can send it to you if you reach out however you want, or you can look it up yourself. And it did explain how, like, when kids are, and I'm sharing this because I send it to all my friends with kids, so floaties, a lot of people put their kids in the floaties, and the floaties really aren't that good. And I remember we never had floaties, and I wanted floaties so bad, but I guess my parents knew this. But the floaties aren't good because when you're in floaties, you're going to, like, they push you down, like they're going to be like this. A life jacket is better, which I remember hating life jackets as a kid. Heck, I still hate them now. Life jacket holds you up like this, and the idea is for you to have your head above the water. You need to always be able to, like, when the life jacket, when you kick, it's going to always pop you back up because your head needs to be above the water, and that's the trick. So if you're thinking about floaties, if you're going back and forth whether you should invest in swimming lessons, I would invest in swimming lessons. I'm pretty sure my parents started off at swimming lessons at like 6 months. Like, we were doing the mommy and me classes as soon as you could. And that is something I would put money aside for. That's something I would say for. Swimming lessons are very, very important because the idea is you just want more than anything, you want the kid's head to pop back up. You want them to be able to flip and be up if they get into the water. And I know those videos of the babies, like I've seen the videos of the babies on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and it's like really intense. They'll be in like full winter gear, and then they'll throw them in the pool, and then the kid like learns to swim over and everything like that, and it's really intense. But like it's that serious. That's what you have to do. But I don't want to talk too much about that because this woman clearly doesn't want her personal business, and we're not entitled to a personal business. That's what I want to talk about. We're not entitled to a personal business. I saw someone explain how someone went to the court records to see the death certificate. How disgusting is that? It is none of our business. I don't care if someone has shared every aspect of their life. It is none of our business. I think that's the difference. But like, whenever people who are listening here, you probably know of this particular influencer who's very famous in our other girl circles, I guess. And she broke up with her boyfriend, which is hard, tough. I felt bad for her. Like, it's not something I would want to experience. I feel bad for her. So homegirl broke up with her boyfriend and didn't tell everybody right away. We are entitled. She told us about it. You are not entitled. No one is entitled to anything. I think like it's great when people want to share their life. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's good. I share my life, but and I consume other people's content when they do share their life, but I think we should always have this level of like, at the end of the day, we don't know anyone. There's not like, you don't really, and I hate to say this too, like, you don't really know, I'll just use me for, you don't really know me. Like, you do know me, you know the parts of me that I share, but like, you don't really know me. We don't really know Emily. You don't really know the influencer I'm talking. I don't want to use her name just because, I don't know, I just don't want to use her name. We don't really know anyone. We just know the parts of them that they share, right? And we should be grateful that they share that part, but I don't think we should feel an entitlement to know more than what they've shared with us. And I think that is a huge problem that we have in culture right now. Like, this hot take or like whatever about this, that's a huge problem we have in culture. We, first of all, we know too much about each other. Let's start off with that. But then we feel as if we're entitled to know even more about each other. No, that's not how it works. That's not right. So I just feel I cannot express how bad I feel for this woman. She has to file this report, and it's none of our business. She would have told us when it was her time, when she wanted to tell us. And it's up to her because it's her family. So I just want to implore everyone listening to remember that we're not entitled to anyone's business. We are blessed to get some people's business, but we're not entitled to it. So if you're, obsessed with an influencer, develop a parasocial relationship, which happens, that happens sometimes. I just want us to make sure that we can reset and remember, like, we're not entitled to anything that they give us. Nothing. All right, let's talk about the next thing. All right, so this is from Evie Magazine. Influencer, the wizard Liz, an online guru for confidence, femininity, self-love, and empowerment, reveals that she was cheated on while 4 months pregnant. Let's stop right there. I saw this tweet and I do think, like, I'm not even trying to be funny. Like, Mallory being serious. I saw this tweet and essentially was like, when men do this, they should like be prosecuted for that. Like, they should go to jail. They should face a fight. Like, that should be something like serious should happen to them. And I agree. I actually think this is like one of the most disgusting things to cheat on a pregnant woman. But let's keep going. According to her story, Landon, her ex-boyfriend at this point, I believe, secretly created a Snapchat account and tried to meet up with other women. The women came forward to Liz and her friend with proof. Quote, "He was just with me in London, made a whole book about how much he loves me. He says he's incredibly sorry, but honestly, I feel like I didn't know him at all. I feel stupid for ignoring the signs and dreams I had that I even told him about, and he told me I was crazy." Listen to your intuition, women. Men want to lead the world, but can't even control their lusts. It's weak. A man that can't control his lust will never be able to lead. I'm absolutely broken and shocked. I'll read that part again because I think this needs, I want to put this on a shirt. Men want to lead the world, but can't control their lust. It's weak. A man that cannot control his lust will never be able to lead. That's good. And this is a huge problem in society. Our society, because of pornography, and you guys know how much I hate pornography. Our society, because of pornography, has made sex cheapened it, for lack of a better word. It's made it just like, it's cheapened it. I don't know how else to say it. Easy to get and not sacred. Cheapened sex. So men are just filled with this like disgusting lust and they cannot control it. I just don't understand, especially you want to be a leader, then control yourself. I don't get it. And then this is his response, quote, "It was a few minutes of texting, that's it, end quote. Attempting to downplay the betrayal, but Liz wasn't buying it and neither was anyone else. In a separate post, Landon said he made a, quote, mistake. Cheating is not a mistake, it's an intentional action. I'm gonna say that again. Cheating is not a mistake, it's an intentional action. If someone has cheated on you, that was intentional, it's not a mistake, and I want you to remember that, okay? I want you to remember that, and I want you to act accordingly. With this story, the only real things that are important to remember, listen to your intuition. If you are in a relationship with someone and you do feel as if something's off, I think it's really good to talk to them about it, because some of it could be in your head because of past insecurities, because of misunderstandings. It's absolutely possible, but I think the first step is talking to them about it, hearing from them, and then if you're still not satisfied, looking into it, being safe about it, but looking into like what's going on. I think that that's just the safest route. And being pregnant and cheated, oh god, every time I think about that, how awful. You're having this person's spouse, and you know what, ladies, this also reminds you, get married, have babies, get married, have babies. You need to be careful who you marry. Get married, sure, I'm all for that. but be careful who you marry. It is a serious decision. It is not worth, like, it's better to be single than to have to experience this as someone who's pregnant. She is pregnant. It is better to be single. I just want to say that. It is better to be single. It's better to marry late than to marry early and be in a marriage where someone's cheating and abusing you and treating you terribly. Yeah. Okay, next story. Yes, my thoughts on Jordan Peterson versus 28 Theists. There used to be one Christian versus 28 Theists. I'm really glad more people are talking about it. And it's not a matter of like, he's not Christian enough. It's just a matter of straight up that he's not a Christian. He has never said that he's a Christian. He talks about Christianity. He says all this stuff. Apparently, he's written Bible studies. And to me, and I feel like I'm thinking this because I don't want to say the podcast because it's like not, I don't want to recommend the podcast, but it's like in my rotation. It's these two guys talking on this podcast, and they are both, part of the reason why I continue listening, because I do like to hear I really like to hear the other side. Like, I like to hear what are other people thinking and saying. And they're two guys who are both atheists. Maybe one's agnostic, but they're both atheists, essentially. And to hear them talk about Christians, they definitely think that they're the stereotypical, I'm above that. I wish I had faith. It'd make everything so much easier. I think that once you really, intellectuals, we could just see above that. And to be honest, that's the vibe I get from Jordan Peterson. I don't think Jordan Peterson is doing all of this. I don't honestly, because he doesn't believe it. So to be a Christian, to believe in your heart, God raised Jesus from the dead, and receive and confess him as your Savior and Lord. That is in the Bible. That's Romans 10, 9, and 10. Okay? That's the requirements to be a Christian. And then obviously, it'll be fruit of your love and devotion to God. Our goal is to continue to be holy. Okay. If you don't do that, first thing, believe in your heart that God raised Jesus from the dead and receive and confess him as your Savior and Lord, I mean, the rest of the stuff doesn't matter. And I feel like that's what Jordan Peterson is doing. He's trying to do everything else because I'm gonna say it. I think Jordan Peterson thinks that we're willful, we're just ignorant dummies, that he's too much of an intellectual to believe in actual God. The Christianity is what's great for humanity. It has really good rules, it has good understandings, it has good teachings, and the fruit of it, if you're doing it correctly, is good for society. But to actually believe that Jesus died on the cross for my sin, and that one day he will come back, and all I have to do is repent and ask him to be my Lord and Savior. All I have to do is confess that he is Lord of my life. I have to humble myself and admit that I am a sinner. I don't think he's done that, and I don't think he thinks he has to do that. But I'll leave it at that. I pray that he will do that. I pray that that is the next steps. I will say though, he just comes off as such well, this is what's I don't know. And I posted about this on my personal page, your gal pal. And people are like, oh, I didn't know he wasn't a Christian. Look, he's never said he was a Christian. If you look at anywhere in any of his things, he's never said he was a Christian. He likes Christian teachings. Apparently, like I said, apparently he has a Bible study, but he never said that. And I think that speaks volumes. What also speaks volumes is it changed it. It initially said one Christian versus 28 theists to Jordan Peterson versus 28 theists. Now, what does that tell you? On Reddit, they said that Jordan Peterson pitched a fit. He does not want to be considered a Christian. Which, I mean, I don't know how true that is, but why did they change it from one Christian versus 20 atheists to one Jordan Peterson versus 28 theists? I'm going to think about. And I don't want to be one of those people that's you're not Christian enough. You're not Christian enough. I don't want to be one of those people. And I'm not one of those people. I try really hard not to be one of those people. But when I feel like someone's using it to move ahead, when they're using my religion to make themselves, to boost themselves, it just feels so icky. I have to say something. I gotta say something. So that's just something to think about. That's something to consider if you consume his Bible studies, if you consume his content. And that's the other thing too, that 12 Rules book, I will have in the future, Lord willing, as my grandmother would say, in the future, Lord willing, my husband will go through that book with all of our sons. Because I think that book, Chef's Kiss, really good. I have non-conservative friends, just regular, or center, maybe closer to center left even. They wouldn't necessarily, they're left of center. Obviously not super far left, but I have friends that are left of center that are guys that have read the book and felt like it was good and needed, and like it's good content and like something that's important. So I'm not against Jordan Peterson as a whole. I just think that what he's doing with this whole Christian thing is so icky. It's so icky, and like God will not be mocked. So I hope that he repents in his heart, in the sense of he accepts Jesus, and he really, yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. This next article I'm going to be talking about is about the Rattle Seattle. And actually, one of you other girls suggested it. I asked you guys for some topics, and this is one of the ones that I picked. So I want to talk about that. Here is from the New York Post. Trans rights radicals surround mother holding baby at Christian group rally outside of Seattle City Hall. The Rattle in Seattle protest was organized by Mayday USA, which describes itself as a pro-life grassroots movement and defends traditional family values and units. The demonstrators descended on City Hall on Tuesday to rally against Seattle's woke mayor, Bruce Harnell, who blamed the conservative group for a weekend protest that turned violent. Okay, sorry. The Mayday USA held a demonstration on Saturday, so 2 Saturdays ago, at the city's Cal Anderson Park that descended into chaos when left-wing counter-protesters stormed the event, resulting in 23 arrests. Harold blamed the melee in the heart of the city's historical LGBTQ neighborhood on far-right demonstrators and anarchists who said they were, quote, promoting beliefs that are inherently opposed to our city's values, end quote. The weekend event was one leg of Mayday USA's 5-day Don't Mess With Our Kids tour, aimed at taking a stand against what the group sees as the widespread indoctrination of America's children by the National Education Association, end quote, the ways of LGBTQ, social justice, and beyond, end quote. The tour states. Tuesday's protest then also quickly descended into chaos when dueling demonstrators of trans activists and Mayday members faced off. The fighting is captured, woman carrying a baby. All right, let me try to, let's see here. I want to talk about the hundreds of far right Seattle Park to exit Cal Anderson. They come from members of Antifa. Okay. Hundreds of far left militants chase Seattle PD away as they exit Cal Anderson Park. This comes after the members of Antifa, transgender activists, and others attempt to shut down a praise and worship gathered by Christian grassroots organization Mayday USA. So essentially what it was, because these articles are not really describing it right, essentially what it was a group just held a praise and worship. They got the permits and they held a praise and worship. And then a group of Antifa, trans activists, and just other provocateurs attended to counter protest. And then it just like turned into chaos. So let's talk about that really quick. So one of the amazing things about living in the US, and my mom actually pointed this out too. She like kind of mentors people, and she was telling one of her mentees this, and so they were saying something about the US, and she was just like, we are very blessed. We're one of the few countries where you can freely practice your religion, specifically Christianity. You can practice Christianity freely. And it's not, we normally don't have to fear for our life. I would say we don't have to fear for our life here. I went to church. I'm recording this on a Sunday. I went to church this morning without a hassle. I had no qualms about it. There was nothing. I wasn't scared anyone was going to stop me at the door. So we're very, very blessed here for that. I'm not saying that like that's going to end anytime soon. I'm saying that we have to make sure that we continue to, do our part to make sure that it doesn't. I'm not saying it's on the horizon. I'm not an alarmist like that. I'm just saying like we don't want it to end anytime soon. So let's do our part to make sure it doesn't, okay? I really, whenever I see things like this, it does make me very uncomfortable, especially when it's something as calm as praise and worship. I think that when these stories are told on the other side, they make it seem as if it's like, let me back up. When you say things like when you make comments like your praise and worship literally hurts me, it literally is detrimental to me and my community. When you say things like that, people are going to respond. Eventually they're going to respond that way. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing here in Seattle, what just happened there. When you make comments like that, people praise and worship does not it does not it doesn't do that. I mean, it's just so crazy that this has happened. And not to the person, but all the information I've seen TikToks and things on Twitter about it. I haven't really seen anything else like big in the news. That was New York Post, who, they post about anything. But like I haven't really seen too much about it because I don't know. I don't want to make an assumption because the Christians were the victims. I don't want to say that, but like, if it looks like a duck, I don't know. I just think it's really, and I think for the future, people in this town, all of us, I think it's just important to like be on our guard, and I don't think we should stop doing it. I think like our Christians for millennia have been persecuted. That's just what happens. So I think it's really good for us to just like be vigilant, be aware, but we can't stop. We should not let moments like this cause us to stop. We got to move forward. We got to keep going. Yeah, when I saw that, I was just kind of like, oh, wow, this is not good. This is not good. And then for the mayor to blame the group, I also want to point out, almost feels like a setup. That's not that LGBT activist park, like that's specifically for them, like it's dedicated to them or whatever. That's not where they wanted the permit, but that's where the mayor made them have the permit. And then all of a sudden, there's 500 people praising and worshiping, and then I think they said it was about 500 people who came to the park. That feels weird to me. Like, and also, the history of the park, like, why would you do that? It seems sus. I don't know. Allegedly, I'm not trying to, I'm not saying anything, it just seems sus. Seems like, kind of like a side up to me. I don't know. I'm just saying. Stay vigilant, ladies. Stay vigilant. All right. I think this is the last. Oh, yes. Prison Break. I haven't really gotten a chance to talk about it on the podcast at all, so I'm going to yap about it, but let's talk about what happened. Right now, as of recording, there are still 2 escapees on the loose. This is articles from NPR. The escapees, many who were awaiting sentences for trials of alleged violent crimes, including murder, broke free overnight by yanking open a faulty cell door, climbing through a hole in the wall behind the toilet, scaling a barbed wire fence, and running across an interstate. They were only discovered missing hours later doing a routine morning head count. 8 hours, by the way. By which point all that remained was surveillance footage of their escape and taunting messages scrawled to the bathroom wall, including "too easy LOL." Yes, these grown men wrote "too easy LOL" as they were leaving. 3 of the men were captured later that same day. 2 others were captured the following week. And let me drink some tea real quick. My tongue. Louisiana State Police have said each of them were found in New Orleans, rebooked on additional charges, including simple escape, and transported to a secure state facility outside of the area. Probably what's best. Bureau has said that all 5 are being held without bond. That's also probably what's best. State police announced the capture of 3 additional fugitives on Monday, 10 days after the jailbreak. Linton Van Buren was arrested by local police in Baton Rouge, about 82 miles from New Orleans, while Leo Tate and Jermaine Donald were arrested in Walker County, Texas. Authorities say the 2 men still on the run, Anton Macy and Derek Groves, should be considered armed and dangerous. Groves was convicted of second-degree murder in the 2018 Mardi Gras double shooting, while Massey faces charges of domestic abuse involving strangulation, theft of a motor vehicle, and a parole violation, according to records. Massey has escaped from detention 3 times since 2007. Federal and state investigators are offering a reward of $20,000 for information leading to either man's arrest. All right, let me go through my thoughts on this. Let's talk about initially hearing this. 10-minute escape. I was like, what? That's actually quite a lot. Wow. No one knew for 8 hours. That's actually insane. 8 hours? How do you not know that there's 10 people missing in 8 hours? What's going on in that prison? I mean, people need to be fired at this point. Usually I'm like, okay, everybody deserves grace. No, these are fireable offenses. 10 people, and some of them are like violent crimes. My next thought, they had enough time to write a message on the wall. Silly, goofy, what? Next thought, why is there a highway so close to a prison? Because you see the video, they're literally escaping on the highway. Like, I don't think you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to have a highway so close to a statement. So then I started thinking more about everything. So at first, I didn't know the charges. I saw the pictures and I was like, in my head, I'm like, looking at them, they don't seem like that bad. Maybe it's just like weed or something. And like, I go back and forth about decriminalization. Yes, I don't think you should be in prison for it. But at the same time, we do need some restrictions. I don't know. I don't have a strong feeling. I hear one argument, I'm like, yeah. I hear another argument, like, yeah. I don't feel strongly about this one. So, but I'm like, okay, maybe bank fraud. What I'm not thinking that murderers, like people involved in murder and strangle, I'm not thinking that they would be in such a lackadaisical prison. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm seeing it, and like, everybody's having some hee ha ha's about it. Like, ooh, who do you have for the person who's gonna say? I'm like, oh, okay, I think this person, I send it in a group chat I'm in, everybody's like putting who they think will be the last person, we're hee ha haing. And then like I saw some more information on it, and I was like, oh, this isn't funny anymore. Like, these men need to be arrested. Like, this isn't, I'm not having fun anymore. Like, this needs to be, let's wrap this up. Once again, bank fraud, not the greatest thing, but like, I don't necessarily feel like they're a threat. The two men that are left, hello. So those men are probably gone. So then my next thought is like, one of the men was about to get out in 2 months. Some of these young boys that are like, looking at them, they're fresh, they haven't been there that long. They were found like at their friend's house. Like, one guy went live with his friends. One guy was found like on Bourbon Street. One guy was found at his mom's house. Like, this is so crazy to me. Like, and that leads me to, like, that makes me assume they didn't have a plan. They just saw some other men escaping and they said, let me escape too. And it makes me think, those of you who are raising sons, who are raising children in general, it's so important to raise a leader and not a follower. Was all of this worth it? They're getting more time. The guy with the 2 months left, was that worth it? He's going to have more time. It's, it's on your record now. You are not going to be trusted. Like, was it worth it? They saw other men leaving and they said, let me just hop in and do it too. Was that worth it? And I'll say, these are 2 men that are left, masterminds. Because I saw someone make this comment, I'm like, that's probably what happened. Someone was saying, what probably happened is like, those kids saw them running, or like they saw them preparing or whatever, and they just kind of like went along with it because they knew that the people, like, they're gonna get caught, they're gonna be sloppy, they're gonna be so focused on getting these kids because they're like easy, they're not gonna be thinking about these other masterminds. And that's literally what happened. Like, I mean, when I saw that the kid was found like, at his parents' house and his mom's house, I'm like, that's so crazy. That's so crazy. I was gonna say you will never have that chance again. I mean, Mr. Messi, this is his 3rd attempt, so maybe you will have that chance again. But I know one thing: they've got to find these guys. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's get these men. It's just so crazy, and then it just makes you think. Obviously they had to have accomplices, and I'm just curious, like, what they offered them. Like, this whole thing, when they make the Netflix documentary, is going to be very fascinating because it's different than, like, usually when people escape, they've fallen in, like, I don't know if you guys remember that huge man, he was like 6'9", that escaped. I saw his Netflix documentary. Like, it's for love. Like, they think that guy loved her, but like, they pretend to fall in love with someone and they do. It doesn't seem like that was like the case with these men. It just seemed like maybe they offered them some sort of money, but like, how would they even get the money? And then like, you're never gonna get the money. I don't know, like, what was in it for the people who helped him on the inside. And that prison, something needs to be done. I know the people who are left are on lockdown. I know they don't go anywhere. Like, I'm sure they've overreacted for the people who had nothing to do with it. I'm sure they are like anyway, that something needs to be done because that was not good. Not good. Like I said, at first it was like, oh, this is funny. Who do you think's gonna last the longest? Ah, ha ha, hee hee ha ha. And you look at what they're in there for. It's like, oh, it's dangerous to society. This is not good. What? This is like, it's no longer a joke. But yeah, that's my thoughts. A couple of you asked and I delivered. Okay, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you rate, review, subscribe. Let me know, what are your thoughts on anything that I've talked about today, from men cheating on pregnant women? That should be it should be a crime. Like, I think you should face like some sort of penalty. Yeah, I do. I think if you cheat on your pregnant, like, and not me being very serious, I think if you cheat on your pregnant wife, you should receive some sort of penalty. I don't think you should be able to, like, I think there should be a consequence, not just a social consequence, but like something that affects you in your everyday life. That's awful. Let me know if you think what you think about that. Let me know what are your thoughts on the escapees melee in California, in Seattle, which is Washington. What was the other story I talked about? Todd and Chrisley, like Todd and Julie Chrisley. What are your thoughts on those things? Let me know. And if you enjoyed this, make sure you share it, rate, review, and subscribe. All of the things. And I hope you have a good day, night, evening, however, wherever you're listening.